What made you realize the relationship was over? The other guy she was seeing. Backstory: during our relationship I started my own business, and I'll admit I did work a lot trying to start it. During this time she found another guy while I was working. I believe they were together for a year while we were dating. Fast forward 4 years since the breakup and my business is extremely successful and I'm able to take lots of time off and travel. I'm doing better personally than I could have imagined. I also like long walks on the beach, movies, and comedy. When I'd had enough of the gaslighting, emotional abuse and major boundary crossing issues. When we stopped working as a team, and our counseling sessions stopped being attended by both of us. Guess the ex didn't like that the conversation revolved around learning to compromise and that no adult always gets their way in life. I am in a better but lonelier headspace, but I'm glad to be out of that cesspool marriage. 1. 5 years out and I'm still so upset that I accepted way less than I deserve. Never again will I ignore my gut instinct to leave. I plugged my ex's old phone in, we were married at the time, so I could factory restore it and let the kids use it for Netflix or whatever. She was still signed into Facebook. Immediately I got a live feed of her conversation with another dude. I saw a message that included, "Sucked you off," and that pretty much did it. On top of the fact that this was going on for like 9 months, and she painted a picture that she was a single mom with a deadbeat baby daddy. Fed the kids, waited for her to come home, tucked them in and confronted her. I'm sick just thinking about it. Almost 4 years ago and it still hurts. She stopped being physical, even in playful non-sexual ways. She would always go back to the, "I feel insecure in this relationship," even after hours of talking her down. Every bit of criticism I would take to heart, make my very best attempt at remedying, and it would go virtually unnoticed. There was always something I couldn't get to. I could never do well enough. She would stop communicating with me. I went to crew a rally, I'm a pit crew mechanic, and when I left I knew it was basically over. After the race I drove 7 hours back home and she ended it a half hour later. I came to find out all this behavior is because she'd found someone else, and just hadn't ended it on my end yet. After being screamed at every day and being told I cannot do anything right, I went from being an optimistic, living in the moment kind of a person to one who was depressed and developed an eating disorder. The day I prayed to the universe to either kill me or him, I realized that the emotional abuse had to end, and I deserved to feel safe, loved and good about myself. Still, with my self-esteem hitting rock bottom, it took me a few months after this realization to finally break up, but thank goodness I did. For years I didn't share the details of that relationship with anyone and kind of dealt with all those traumatizing moments alone. But I am glad I finally told my therapist and I worked on mustering up the courage to finally choose myself over that relationship and leave him for good. I wasn't me anymore, I was just her name here's boyfriend. I had to do things her way only. But not only do things her way but to like to do things her way. In just a few months, I cut my hair, changed my clothes, changed my opinions on a lot of topics, and so on, but things started to scare me when she tried to convince me of change college majors to the same one as her, to have more chances when we start a family. Oh, and speaking of family, I must also prefer her family to my own family. In just 1 year I no longer knew who I was, complete identity theft. Even 10 years after we broke up, now married to a wonderful person, I still deal with trauma from that time. When we got into an argument and he told me he was in love with someone he started seeing several months earlier during our 4.5 years together. I had my suspicions for months and even asked, and every time he would tell me I was just trying to cause drama and to stop being crazy. A week after I broke some ribs and my wrist from being abused by him, all my co-workers, AR nurses and doctors, knew what was going on, and he is a paramedic. Someone at work informed me that while he was abusing me, he was seeing this much younger woman that I had my suspicions about. When she had the police called on her because a random girl got my number from a friend and texted me, "Hey, sorry if this is weird, but I got your number from." During a 2-month break I was nowhere near as stressed as I had been for the entirety of our 6-year relationship. It was toxic as hell, and it gave me a lot of baggage that I'm still working through 5 months later. Only now that I'm out of it can I realize how much it has changed me over the years. I still very much care for my ex, and I know we wish the best for each other, but fuck, did we not need to be together? TLDR, if your partner has a personality disorder and refuses to accept help or move towards self-improvement, leave. You don't need that stress.